Hey, what up YouTube, welcome back to a new video with Rams fan YT. In today's video, we are resuming a history of your club. We're now on Series 4, so we will be looking at League 2 clubs and last season's promoted League 2 clubs, and this season coming up, National League clubs, sort of just the way it works out, because obviously I started this series a few years ago, so every time as a new season balance it out with the new clubs. Today we're looking at the history of Barrow AFC. Interesting history, certainly. Barrow were founded on the 16th of July 1901 at the old Drill Hall, which was later known as the Palais, which was in the Strand. And they played initially at the Strawberry Ground before they moved to Ainsley Street and then to Little Park in Roos. The club was elected to Division 2 of a Lancashire Combination in 1903, and in 1908 it was promoted to the First Division. Barrow moved to Holker Street the following year, where they still play to this day actually. And the club remained in the Lancashire Combination until and after the First World War, winning the League Championship in 1920-21. The victory preceded the formation of the Football League Third Division North in the 1921-22 season, and Barrow, because of this success, became one of the league's founding members. In their early years as a league club, Barrow were notable for their lack of success. Their highest finish before the Second World War was 5th in the 1931-32 season, and in the 1933-34 season, Barrow finished 8th. But the club, though, remained in the lowest tier of the Football League when football resumed after the war, and were actually founding members of the Football League Division 4 in 1958-59. But the 1950s saw greater success, especially in the FA Cup competition. The club's at a record crowd of 16,874 watched Barrow draw 2-2 with Swansea Town, now Swansea City, of course, in the 1953-54 FA Cup. A few years later, it was followed by a third-round tie in the 1958-59 competition against Football League champions Wolverhampton Wanderers at Holker Street. The Wolves, captained by Billy Wright at the time, won at 4-2. The late 1960s finally saw Barrow win promotion. After a third-place finish managed by Don McAvoy in the 1966-67 Fourth Division, McAvoy's successor, Colin Appleton, led Barrow to their highest final league position of 8th place in the Football League Third Division the following season. The club topped the Third Division table for one day during the 1968-69 season, and this is the highest position they've ever held. During this period, the defender Brian Arrowsmith made the most Football League appearances for Barrow, and Barrow remained in the third flight of English football for 3 seasons, before returning to the basement division in 1970. Financial difficulties and poor performances saw Barrow twice up for re-election in 1971 and 1972. On the second occasion, at the end of the 1971-72 season, they were voted out of the Football League and replaced by Hereford United. The initial vote produced saw a tie between Barrow and Hereford for the last place in the league, with each receiving 26 votes. However, after a second vote, which saw Hereford win with 29 votes to Barrow's 20, 3 factors were highlighted: Barrow's geographic isolation, Hereford United's FA Cup victory against Newcastle United, and the decision of the Barrow board to introduce a speedway track around the Holker Street pitch to offset financial difficulties, which seems that is still one of the weirdest stories, and maybe for another day we could look at how that came about. And so Barrow joined the Northern Premier League for the start of the 1972-73 season, and the club had spent 51 years in the Football League at that point. 44 playing seasons was how long it was, because this was due to the wartime close down. To gain access to the Northern Premier League, the club had to promise to remove the speedway track from Holker Street, although it did remain there until 1974, and Barrow struggled in the league with limited financial resources. The club were invited to join the new Alliance Premier League, though, in 1979, which was the first national division in non-league football, later become Conference and then National League. And Barrow won the Lancashire FA Challenge Trophy in 1981, which was their first success as a non-league club since winning the Lancashire Combination in 1921. But they were relegated 2 years later, and they won the Northern Premier League title the following season under manager Vic Hallam, but were relegated again by 1986. The club hired Ray Wilkie as a manager just before promotion, just before relegation, and Wilkie led Barrow to their most successful period to date in non-league football. After a number of near misses, the club was promoted back to a renamed Vauxhall Conference in 1988-89 after their Northern Premier League Championship. This was driven by Colin Cowperthwaite, who was holder of club records for both appearances and goals. Barrow had 2 respectable finishes in the conference, 10th in 1989-90 and 14th the following season. In addition to these league successes, Wilkie had a number of successful cup runs. Barrow reached the 1988 FA Trophy semi-final, losing to Enfield after 2 replays, the first at Agborough in Kidderminster and the second at Marston Road in Stafford. The first leg at Holker Street attracted 6,002 supporters, which was a club non-league record. Enfield won the first leg 2-1 and Barrow won the second 1-0. Enfield went on to win the trophy against Telford United in a replay at the Hawthorne ones in West Bromwich after a goalless draw in the final at Wembley. Barrow reached the first round of the FA Cup the following season, losing 3-1 to Rotherham United. They won the 1990 FA Trophy, which was their first major trophy as a non-league club, defeating Leek Town in the final at Wembley. Kenny Gordon, not ordinarily a goal scorer, scored the first and third goals in his final game for his hometown club before emigrating to Australia. Other notable members of the squad included Kenny Lowe, who was sold to Barnet for £40,000, which was a club record at the time, after the final. And the following season, benefiting from direct entry into the first round, Barrow made the third round of the FA Cup for the first time as a non-league club, before losing 1-0 to the third division high flyers Bolton Wanderers. Wilkie was forced to step down during the 1991-92 season due to health problems, and Barrow were relegated back to the Northern Premier League, and Cowperthwaite retired after 15 seasons with the club, having made 704 appearances and 282 goals. Wilkie died in December 1992 at the young age of 56, and the road outside the Holker Street ground was later named Wilkie Road in his honour. After Wilkie's departure and Barrow's relegation, the club had 3 mediocre seasons in the Northern Premier League. In February 1995, Barrow were purchased by boxing promoter and businessman Stephen Vaughan. Vaughan invested in the club, building an all-seater grandstand and signing conference standard players. The Bluebirds were promoted to the conference in 1997-98 under manager Owen Brown. Vaughan, who had connections with the Liverpool drug dealer Curtis Warren, was investigated for money laundering. Although no charges were officially brought, he left the club at the end of 1998, withdrawing the financial support which had kept it afloat. It was learned that the Holker Street ground, which was Barrow's main asset, had been sold for £410,000 to Northern Improvements, a company in which Vaughan had a financial interest. In January 1999, the club was the subject of a compulsory winding up order, and a liquidator was appointed to run it, while efforts were made to establish the ground's legal owner. A members' company was formed to provide financial support for the club, with a long-term intention of taking it over. Although Barrow avoided relegation in the summer of 1999, they were expelled from the Football Conference for improper administration. With support from the Football Association after a long dispute, the club were admitted to the Northern Premier League for the 1999-2000 season, almost a month after the season had begun. Barrow survived in the league under the manager Kenny Lowe, despite an almost entirely new squad, and the team improved over the next few years, remaining in administration. They narrowly missed out on promotion to the conference twice, finishing second and third in 2003-4 and 2004-5. The legal disputes, though, over the ownership of Holker Street were eventually resolved in August 2002, and the members' company bought the stadium from the liquidator. In 2003, the Football Association allowed Barrow's football membership to be transferred to the new company. The club defeated local rivals Workington in a two-legged April 2004 final in the Unibond President's League Cup. The game finished 6-all on aggregate, with Barrow winning on away goals. After a failure to gain promotion to the conference in 2004-5, Barrow became founding members of another division, the Conference North, which replaced the Northern Premier League, being at that level, one level below the Conference National. The club had poor form over the following two seasons, narrowly escaping relegation at the end of the 2006-7 season. Manager Lee Turnbull, who succeeded Lowe when Lowe had work commitments, was sacked in 2005 and was replaced by Phil Wilson. Defender James Cotterill was jailed for an assault committed on the pitch. In a first-round FA Cup game, Cotterill punched Bristol Rovers striker Sean Rigg. The incident was missed by the referee, but was caught by the Match of the Day cameras, and Cotterill was the only English player in recent history to be jailed for an offence on the pitch. After 2 years as manager, Wilson was dismissed on the 12th of November 2007, although the sacking came just 2 days after a good 1-1 draw in the FA Cup first round against AFC Bournemouth. The club's continued poor form was the cause, and Barrow's team's affairs were shifted to players Paul Jones, David Bayliss, and Darren Sheridan. Following a decent run of results, Bayliss and Sheridan were appointed as player managers, and Jones became the club captain. Bayliss and Sheridan led Barrow from 20th place in the league in December to 5th, ensuring a place in the playoffs and promotion to the Conference National. They won the semi-final against Telford United 4-0 on aggregate, before defeating Stalybridge Celtic in the playoff final at the Pirelli Stadium in Burton-upon-Trent. Barrow topped the Conference National table during the first few weeks of the following season, before the club began to struggle. Finding themselves just above the relegation zone by January 2009, they defeated Brentford 2-1, with goals from David Brown and Matt Henney in round 2 of the FA Cup, which was their first victory over Football League opposition since their 1972 elimination from the league. Barrow drew an away match against Middlesbrough, which was at that time a Premier League team, in the third round, and only lost narrowly 2-1. More than 7,000 Barrow fans travelled to the Riverside Stadium in Middlesbrough, the highest away attendance in Riverside's 14-year history to date. And the club earned Barrow about 250. The cup that was run earned Barrow about £250,000, allowing investment in playing resources. And the club retained their place in the conference, finishing 20th. Following alterations in the squad during the summer, Barrow began its second season in the Conference National in August 2009. The club had a good run after a poor start, losing once in 16 games and reaching the FA Cup third round. They were defeated 3-0 by Premier League side Sunderland at the Stadium of Light on the 2nd of January 2010, watched by 7,500 travelling supporters. On the 13th of March 2010, a Greg Blundell goal gave Barrow a 1-0 win at Salisbury City in the first leg of the FA Trophy semi-final. 1 week later, Jason Walker double secured a 2-1 victory in the second leg to send the Bluebirds to Wembley. After securing their position in the Conference National in the last home match of the season, Barrow won the 2010 FA Trophy final against Stevenage Borough 2-1 at Wembley Stadium, with an extra-time goal by Walker. This made Barrow the only club to win the FA Trophy at the old and new Wembley stadiums. The 2010-11 season was less successful, although the club finished in 18th place and remained in the Conference National with a 2-0 win against Hayes and Yeading on the last day of the season. Barrow, though, failed to retain the FA Trophy, however, losing 2-3 to Conference North side Guiseley. The side was more successful the following season, and they finished a respectable 13th place. Darren Sheridan left the club by mutual consent in February 2012, and Dave Bayliss remained as solo manager. The following season, Barrow were relegated from the Conference National after losing 2-1 at Cambridge United on the 13th of April 2013. Bayliss left the club by mutual consent on the 5th of November 2013, and Barrow reappointed former caretaker manager Darren Edmondson on the 10th of December that year. That season, the club failed to win promotion to the Conference Premier and finished 11th in the Conference North. On the 1st of May 2014, it was announced that club members had voted to allow Dallas businessman Paul Casson to complete a takeover. Barrow were 2014-15 Conference North champions, with a 3-2 win away at Lowestoft Town at the end of it on the final day of the season. Casson aimed for promotion in the club's first season back in the top flight of the non-league football, and in November 2015, Barrow parted company with manager Darren Edmondson after a poor start left them mid-table, and a 1-0 loss to AFC Fylde had knocked them out of the FA Cup. The club appointed former Mansfield and Torquay boss Paul Cox as manager the following day. On the 20th of September 2017, Barrow appointed Mickey Moore as first team manager. Moore was sacked after the club's FA Cup defeat in the fourth qualifying round away at Shore Lane on the 15th of October that year. Former Forest Green Rovers boss Aidy Pennock was appointed as manager on the 27th of October, accompanied by assistant manager Jamie Day and player coach Grant Holt. Barrow narrowly avoided relegation, finishing in 20th place, and Pennock and the club parted company on the 18th of May 2018. Former Blackpool and Chesterfield defender Ian Evatt became the club's manager on the 15th of June, and on the 24th of October 2018, Casson announced that he was stepping down as chairman and selling the club, with director Paul Hornby taking over as an interim chairman. The 2018-19 season was much more successful under Evatt, finishing in 10th place this time. The following 2019-20 season was even more successful. The Bluebirds were top of the league for the vast majority of the season, before the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The final league table was decided on a points per game basis, which meant that Barrow returned to the EFL as champions for the first time since 1972. During pre-season, manager Ian Evatt departed for newly relegated Bolton Wanderers and was replaced by David Dunn. Barrow's first Football League game in 48 years resulted in a 1-1 draw with Stevenage at Holker Street. The Bluebirds finally won at their 9th attempt in the league with a 4-2 win at Mansfield Town. After 22 matches, the last 9 without a win, and with the team in 21st place in the table, Dunn was sacked on the 13th of December 2020. Following Dunn's dismissal, assistant manager Rob Kelly was appointed as caretaker manager. Michael Jolly was named as the new manager on the 23rd of December 2020. And however, on the 21st of February 2021, after only 7 games in charge, Barrow parted company with Jolly. Following the departure of Jolly, assistant boss Kelly was once again named as Barrow's caretaker manager, this time until the end of the season. Kelly saw an upturn form, and on the 27th of April 2021, with 2 matches remaining, Barrow secured their Football League status for the following season with a 2-0 win at Forest Green Rovers. At the end of the season, Kelly chose not to remain as manager on a permanent basis and left the club. On May 28, 2021, former Forest Green Rovers manager Mark Cooper was appointed as manager. On the 24th of August 2021, Barrow hosted Premier League side Aston Villa in an EFL Cup second round tie, losing a massive drumming, pretty much 6-0. And they finished 22nd at the end of last season. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new around here. That'd be hugely appreciated. We've got my predictions for the National League North-South coming up on Friday, and a history of Bradford City coming up next Monday. But goodbye for now.